All right. Let me give it I'll start out introductions for now. Welcome, everyone. This is a Community Jam stream. And in this one, we are playing some of our jammers' favorite songs of their own that they've submitted in past compilations. And we've got 7 of those for you, plus some bonuses that we may have time for. And if folks are on and willing to talk through how they work through their songs, some little tricks that they might have used or any inspiration, we would love to hear that. And apologies if I'm a little scattered. I'm recovering from the flu. But
those can really get you.
I think we've got atalhlla on. And jegasus. Yeah. Hello. Does everyone... Does anyone have an early out and maybe needs to go early with their song? I'll take that as a no. If we've got... if you're all right with it, nickypy, can we play your song first?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let me switch over to... Everyone can see the screen?
Yep, video's coming through.
All right. This is Appeals by nickypy from Jam 29, Paperwork.
Yeah, that rules. That kicks ass.
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you.
Incredibly chill and bouncy. And one thing that I noticed as we were going through this song is that you have kind of this column kind of going off like slightly offset time. Do you want to talk about what you're doing here?
Honestly, I'm not really sure why track 4 is doing a slightly offset time. I always thought it was just like a visual bug, but
Okay.
yeah. It's mostly like track 4 is mostly for like DJ filters and stuff.
Oh, that's neat.
Now I want to see what's in there.
Let's check it out. Is it okay if we check it out?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, in here we've got so we've got a bunch of on beat filter cuts.
Nothing seems to be editing the groove or
Yeah. Oh, you've got
one extra chain.
yeah.
That'll do it.
That will do it. Yep.
Aha.
Mystery solved.
Thanks for finding my issues, y'all.
Nope. It still came out good. So
What's the joke about the hardest problems in computer science off by one errors?
Oh yeah.
yep, the two hardest problems: naming things, cache invalidation, and off by one errors.
Yes, thank you. Apologies. So, paperwork. We had an optional challenge of using sort of office supply materials and like paper materials. How did you? It sounded like you used a bunch of like used I. There were things that sounded like scissors and like rustles and things. Can you do you want to go into a little bit about your inspiration for this track?
Yeah. I think timing was impeccable for this jam because I had a lot of paperwork to file in December. Some samples I took up was some scissors for track 8, I think. The snare is a sample of a piece of paper being flipped, but I did some stuff to it, and I also have a typewriter sample.
If there's
I think in track 1.
let me see. Yeah, here's your typewriter.
Oh, so it was a typewriter. It wasn't a clicky pen. I was sure that was a clicky pen.
Yeah, and for any of these, if anyone wants to like point out a particular column or pattern and say, hey, can we go in here? I want to show off this cool thing. Or hey, let's check out this instrument.
Yeah, there's one piece in this that listening to it again today made me notice that a lot of the percussion stuff is the stationary stuff that you used sounds very much like office stuff, like scissors and paper. There is one in there though that it kind of sounds like a gun cocking.
Oh.
And I think it's just like a stapler being pressed or something like that.
Right, yeah, it's a stapler.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very, very cool mix of sounds. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say about your song before we move on to the next one?
Just wanted to say thanks for listening. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the tune with us.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
All right. Let's load up the next one. Would atalhlla or jegasus, would either of you like to go next?
Atalhlla, the floor is yours, man.
It's the fight of the... Oh, dang it. I put myself up for a big fight.
Well,
We got boss music. Might as well play it.
Well, so...
And by fight, I mean a fight of no you first.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see. This is a who's paying for dinner argument.
Totally.
Yeah.
Musician version.
Yep. Exactly.
So the last track was from the second most recent jam. This one is from the third jam. Jam number 3, which was, I believe, Sky Island.
Sky Island, yeah.
This was all the way back in 2023, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Wait, seriously? It's from all that time? Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Way long ago. We've been doing this for a bit.
Yeah, the 2-year anniversary is going to be in April.
That's crazy. That's great. Yeah, I started dabbling with M8 stuff in April of 2023. I can't. That's wild.
And by the way, if in case anyone's wondering, we are running a jam right now. We are about to close out week 1, but we'll have another week of Jam 31. And the theme is Underwater City. So if you want to join that, we'll put a link in the chat. But this one is, again, atalhlla's Ancient Evil. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Not sure how many repetitions that one's supposed to be, so apologies if I cut it off a bit short.
No, that's fine. The wave that I recorded, I had 2 repeats, or two times through.
Okay.
So 1 repetition. Don't
right,
keep playing.
Let's
as
go
long as
round
you're
once
fighting
more.
The boss.
It's another one of those off by ones.
Exactly. But, yeah.
Atalhlla, I just noticed that, like, after having listened to the song so many times, I just right now noticed that this, especially like the first few rows of this
Mhm.
song, give me really strong Mega Man X vibes from the Super Nintendo.
Not a
It's
conscious inspiration, but definitely definitely in there.
yeah,
Mega Man X
yeah,
soundtrack is just, yeah. It's one of those ones that's definitely stuck in my mind.
yeah, permanently in the back of my brain.
So was it
Yeah,
unconscious inspiration? I know for other jams you've written themes for imaginary or incomplete games before. I don't know if this is connected to the same one.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one is sort of like a final boss track for the imagined game Cloud Break. I don't know if that would be the final title, but that's the working title, which I sort of spun out of a um, like opening title track that I wrote on LSDJ.
Ooh.
And let's see, the parts of the motif from that track that I wrote on LSDJ are used in the repetition of the chorus, with the secondary lead playing that over the main lead. So if you go into track 2 at the, where is that going to be? Down on row 5, I think. That's going to be the second part of the chorus. Yeah.
Whoop, that doesn't work the way I wanted it to. That's fine.
hmm So like in here, you get use of let's see. So the first part is like a reprisal of the very opening section of the song, which is using, or which is it's using the motif from another track of mine called Spire Echoes.
Ooh, I don't think we've heard
Which
that
that
one
one is,
yet.
yeah, neither of those are jam pieces. Those were before I started participating. Cloud Break was definitely before the jams were started, I think.
Yeah, I know you've done Cloud Break medley as
hmm
a jam piece before,
hmm
later than this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that one had, yeah, the Cloud Break medley had obviously the themes that were used in this, but also a few others that just came to mind for that particular piece, since that was supposed to be like a end of the game medley.
Mm-hmm.
So like the latter, yeah, starting from chain position 4 here, if you played these last ones, then
These ones?
yeah,
Yeah.
those ones going forward, those ones are like a minor key rendition of the one of the main motifs in the Cloud Break title track. Mhm.
Or maybe I should, rather than this piecemeal thing.
Yep.
Pitch drop.
Yeah, you gotta have that you gotta have that PWM.
Yes. Nick Bat just perked his ears up. Let's see. I also noticed. So a couple other things that I noticed. You've got this highlighted, this bookmarked section.
hmm Yep, this is just that little interstitial bit with the um, dog noises sample from Jegasus.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. That was
Yeah, this was the one where we each shared a sample
And I shared a sample of my very whiny dog.
Yep. And then with a little bit of magic known as pitching it down, turned into something a little more dramatic.
I wonder if I can find. Let's see if I can find.
That's also a part of why I have such a vested interest in the success of this song, particularly.
Yep. There you go. It's in one of those tracks.
Yeah, that would be a fun thing to be able to go from the instrument. Well, it wouldn't be practical to do because you could have the same instrument on multiple tracks, but it'd be it'd be fun to be able to go straight from the instrument pool to a track that uses it. But like I said, and how do you choose? That would be an impossible task.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is if you had it like temporarily highlight chains on the song view.
Yeah. That's
which itself would also be pretty handy. So yeah, there's that.
And then all of these,
say
these little islands here. Are you?
Yeah, a whole bunch of work in progress bits.
Okay.
So sometimes I have a lot of them. Sometimes I don't have that many. Yeah, just sort of happens.
When I see like test islands and other people's bundles, I feel a bit stingy for usually leaving them out of my bundles. But
I usually only delete them if there's like a whole bunch of instruments that I know weren't used. Otherwise, I don't bother because it's like a little bit of extra work, and I'm frequently like trying to get the bundle out on the hours before I go to bed on the last day.
Oh, I wouldn't know anything about submitting last minute.
Oh no, it's
never done
very
that,
rare
not
thing.
once. That wasn't all of my modus operandi for Weekly Beats 2024. Totally not what I did exactly every single week.
Weekly beats, more like hourly beats. Anyway.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about with this song, Atalhlla?
No, I mean, not really.
All right.
Yeah.
And I do also want to give you a special shout out for being one of the longest jammers, and I think up to this point still having the longest streak. I know what
I did miss one,
yeah,
which was Dream Logic.
Yeah. And I know Metrograde is coming up on it.
Well, they deserve it.
Yeah, that was Ancient Evil by Atalhlla. Let's go to I see also, I'm pretty sure that we have Elad Hen. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Elad Hen. Yeah, that's fine. You said it okay.
Okay, good. Would you like... I don't know. I know it's probably very late over there.
No, it's fine. It's not very late here. It's 11:30 or something like that. It's not too bad. Well, anyway, I'd be glad if we'd listen to Antarctic Office Madness.
Yeah.
Sure.
Taking the word station in a very different direction.
Yeah.
Yes. This was also from the Paperwork, Jam 29.
Yeah, there was an offer of an idea of a challenge of using a sample from Antarctica. I don't remember who offered it, but I really liked the idea, and the one who offered it also gave like a link to a BBC place where there's samples. So yeah, sure.
It was really cool, and I hope others like it too. This is Elad Hen's Antarctic. Sorry.
It's madness.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
All right. And that was Antarctic Office Madness by Elad Hen.
Yeah, that's it. If you,
I know that you've got a YouTube
screen.
channel as well. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure what more to say about it. I think I started with the idea of doing something, mixing the idea of Office, Antarctic, and Antarctica, and I don't know how somehow it became something about working a job when the world is going insane.
Sounds relatable.
Yeah, I don't know how it came to my mind, but
I have no idea where the inspiration for that came from.
It's a great mystery.
Yeah, I think it could be cool if we'll go to around 8. Start from 8, not the track. From just yeah, because like there's this breakdown here. I thought about it like in my King Crimson breakdown. It reminds me of some of the stuff from their 70s stuff. So can you play it? Just that's just wanted to. I think it's pretty cool. As you can you can hear, you can't, because there's like the sample going on at the track 6, going on the whole piece, so you can't hear it now. The wind, the Antarctic wind. So
gotcha. So that was just continually playing.
Yeah, it's continuing playing. I'm playing with the filters for the effect of closing and the opening of the door. All of most of the samples are just me recording myself opening doors and walking around and playing with papers. I did use a sample of Steps in the Snow from how do you call it? Free Sounds.
Gotcha.
Yeah. This is a door from my home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A thing
That's
that
all I think. Yeah.
Sorry. A thing that I noticed this. So, I've got at least two things in my mind. One, you mentioned the King Crimson.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't immediately catch that first time, but now I'm kind of thinking about like discipline or thrack kind of breakdown.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I noticed that you've also like when you do that, you also do some like to get more of that natural feel, you do some tempo changes. You like shunt it down to like a tempo of 50 something, and then it spikes up to 100 something, and
Yeah, sure. I like that.
and the other thing that I noticed that I didn't last time I heard it was when your office worker opens the door to the Antarctic,
Yeah.
you drop out all of the low percussion and throw in more of the high percussion, like the crashes and hi-hats and things, for like the crispiness of ice in the air. And that was really cool.
Sure. I'm not sure I thought about it consciously, but yeah, it's cool. I did use it. I think that's all.
All right. Thank you so
The
much.
maniacal laugh is also very good. And I remember you said you recorded it yourself, right?
It's absolutely me. My son heard me laughing and was like, "Is everything okay?"
It worried your family.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's see if I can find it. Not that one.
I don't remember what it is. Yeah.
That's just fantastic.
Mm.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So again, I want to be mindful of people who are on but are maybe late or have some or have some business that they need to get to. I know Ineffable, you just joined. I don't know, Jegasus, about your schedule.
No, I'm good. We can go to others folks' songs. No worries on my end.
Okay. Then, Ineffable, if you're good, maybe we'll go to yours next.
I messed up some time zone math, and I'm trying to get some stuff around. Right now, I'm joined on the phone, so I can't drag in some images and whatnot. If you have somebody else to play, I'd appreciate the time. Otherwise, I can just start winging stuff.
Sure. Then either jegasus can go or I can go. jegasus, you want to go?
Let's do that.
Oh, great.
This one is called Snake Charmer, and it's from I think it's the 19th jam. The theme was sorcery.
Yeah.
And first, like I wrote this like intro. It's like someone going in to try to fight this crazy evil sorcerer. And the intro text I wrote kind of gave the idea off that the sorcerer used the power of music, and like as you read along, it's like, oh, his special powers is the M8, like that's his like spell focus or something. And I think this was the first time I sat down with a clear visual of what I wanted to do, and I got it. I feel like I executed the thing exactly with the image I wanted to, and I feel like the music elicits exactly that. It's like an adventurer trying to get revenge from a sorcerer that I can't remember if it killed their companions or their family members or something. Anyways, it's a hero trying to fight a sorcerer and then getting charmed by the sorcerer while doing so.
Who hasn't been charmed by the M8?
Exactly.
Very powerful spell focus.
Here we go.
And at the end, you're dead. The sorcerer killed you. You're dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you said you weren't sure beforehand, but I think that ending makes it pretty unambiguous. A thing that I'm noticing as you were describing the story is, all right, so you've got this build up where you've got the full drum beat and everything happening, the dance floor. And then it cuts out to just the single flute and the 4 on the floor. And that now gives me the visual of row 6. We've been in the head of the adventurer who is charmed. Row 7, we've got a third-person camera view of we're looking at this
The
person.
person being charmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. From the outside.
Yeah.
And there's just that like snake charmer flute. That's all what's really being played.
Mm-hmm.
And then the keys in the background that they're playing, like this completely random stuff that kind of, it feels like the source of like just mumbling magical stuff. Yeah, this one was a super weird one to put together. It is one of the songs that I'm most happy about having made.
Is it's track 7 the arpeggios is.
I think that the arpeggios might be on. I think track 7 is the.
So where are they?
I think on 81. Let's see. Oh no, that's just the kick drums. Yeah, maybe it's 60.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's see what scale you're using.
Oh, it's a scale.
Which one is that? It's C major. So I think it's just C major. And I'm pretty sure that this came in with a random fill first.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have like messed around a bit with it afterwards.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it gave it an effect that I was not expecting. Like, it's like, it's a random fill with the scale turnout. How nice can this come out? And I was like, oh, pretty nice actually. This is pretty cool. For this effect, this came out really nicely.
I'm also kind of surprised by how like grainy it can sound, because it's not like you don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I do have degrade.
That makes sense.
I have a super slow LFO with a tiny bit of degrade.
Yeah, I was starting to wonder about that because it was varying a bit.
Yeah, I really like making piano sounds like tinkly like that, and it only takes a couple of points of degrade to get to that like scary tinkly piano.
I have a song with an LSDJ with the sampled M8 actually.
Oh really?
Full circle.
Yeah, but the sound of sampled melodies on the Game Boy is very grainy, so it reminded me a bit.
That's awesome. That's very. I appreciate that. I take that as a very high compliment. That this feels like LSDJ stuff.
I feel like I should look into getting LSDJ one day, because I sometimes feel like the only person on the server who's never used it.
Just put it on an emulator.
I'm
So.
comfortable with it.
M8 is actually my first tracker.
But
go ahead, Anna.
It's a good place to start.
I just started picking up LSDJ last week after Maelgwyn Fest. I tried it out a year ago, and I was proficient with the M8 and didn't really see a lot of value with the limitations on, say, like the tables and whatnot. But LSDJ has some really cool features independently from M8. It's not a subset. It has like a voice synthesizer built into it based on phonemes that you can build out. There are some really interesting things where you can adjust the internal clocks that the Game Boy has. It has internal timers to do things like pitch sweeps and whatnot. So when you play a note, it takes care of the pitch sweep independently, so you don't need a PBN, or you don't need a pitch or a slide or something like that. And they can be very fast, and the noise channel is much different than you can get from WaveSynth, no matter what size you end up setting the instrument settings to. But man, the one thing I really found out about LSDJ is it kicks out so much bass. They're not perfect, clean square waves, and the noise is like super duper crunchy. And even when you start messing with like the samples and stuff like that, I don't know how you guys end up using, like, say, Groove in M8, but in LSDJ, it seems very common to use Groove simply to squeeze in more instruments in a single step by giving like a 1 or 2 step groove, and then like squashing in and making the remaining ticks between 2 steps to get a tone in there, like say like the snap of a kick and then the rest of the bass or something.
Yeah, but put a bass drum and bass together.
Yeah. So like the one thing that's really interesting to me about it, besides the fact that it is the wave channel and the way that it basically is for wave, but it's actually a wave table that you can edit. And the M8 has had varying success with editable wavetables in the sampler, right? Like they're good, but there are certain limitations to the interpolation, so you can't get really smooth. You can't get smooth gradations between the waveforms, and you have to format the any sample that you try to use as a wavetable very specifically because of the amount of basically granularity that you get between 0 to FF. You have to have like 256 exactly single cycle waveforms in something, and then basically should jump to them instead of using like an LFO or some kind of modulator as they interpolate, depending on what scanning technique you're using.
That's all really cool.
As DJ is cool.
Yeah. It is, after knowing a lot about the M8, it definitely makes it a lot easier to pick up LSDJ. I remember doing so like 10 years ago. I loaded it up on an emulator, looked at it, was like, I don't understand a single thing. I put it down and never touched it again. And then this year for Weekly Beats, I tried it for one track. I was like, oh, I can actually use this. I sat down with it for a couple hours, made a song. It wasn't great, but it was technically music. So yeah, it's very cool.
Nice. I will say, I suppose I kind of lied about M8 being the first tracker I ever tried to use, because the actual first one was OpenMPT, but I had a very similar. Sorry, say again.
Mine too. Like back when it was ModPlug Tracker. That's a great entry way.
I will say, unfortunately, I can't be in the same club with you, because I had Jegasus's experience of, I opened it, I could not figure out what to do, and then after a handful of tries where I got a bar of music, I gave up. But that is another one I might go back to.
Well, my tracker
now that
is
I
Sunbox. Any Sunbox users here? Sunbox is really, really cool.
My head in whenever I go back to a project, though. Like it takes me so long to pick it back up. But one thing I would like to just point out about the song that we just heard is that when it gets going, there is a kind of like almost like, it feels almost like the drive of like classic rock songs, but it's in kind of like the flute part. It's pretty primal, but it's got a cool kind of like slightly like, between beat rhythm to it. And as it goes along with the rest of the beat, like it's fun, and it has, I think, more meaning than like a lot of just like strictly rhythmic pieces that try to use like dynamics alone to end up womping up a sense of urgency. Like it sounds like something like dangerous but cool is happening. And I appreciate that kind of like narrative storytelling in music.
Dangerous but cool is absolutely what I was going. Thank you. That's awesome to hear. That is so cool to hear. Thank you.
All right. Again, that was Jegasus's song Snake Charmer. And let's go. Ineffable, do you need some more time? Because if so, I can go next.
Like, that's fine. I could kind of wing it. My only problem I'm going to have right now is that I can't connect to Discord stream twice. So I'm going to have to do the speaking part and the video, watching the video over a phone, and then independently I might throw a couple links or something like that into the chat of the Discord.
Okay. Well, let me do. I'll do one of mine next. I'll do mine next, and then we'll see. I don't know how long until you'd be able to be in a better position, or if that's just you're not going to be able to for the stream, and that's fine.
Way it's going to be, but more time just lets me get more bearings because I'm just kind of like throwing things together right now. I had actually thought of putting together a slideshow, but I thought I had more hours in the day than this time zone gives me.
No worries. I've also got. I think you might be seeing my desktop. I'm not sure.
Yes, it is. It is
okay.
coming through.
But I've got in. I've got the PNG of your map as well that I can share, in addition to whatever else you send over.
And also, if you share stuff on your screen, Ineffable, I think it doesn't get like recorded on the stream right now. The stream is being recorded. The visuals that are being recorded is just this browser window on Sleepside's computer. So yeah, I think if we can make it work such that like you share the links through the chat here and he just opens it on his side, that might be a bit easier.
You have your local desktop, the assets that went to the zip file for the bundles, then you have pretty much everything that I was looking for.
Okay.
But anyway, I'd love to hear your song.
All right. I had some trouble deciding between two songs. I think I'm going to go with this one. Its working title was Reconfiguration, but its actual title is Maelgwyn's Faithful. Like Jegasus, this was also for the Sorcery Jam. And the optional challenge for that jam was to sample vintage tech. And I took vintage to mean anything like 20 or 25 years old at least. So everything in this song is sampled from my old Casio keyboard. And here we go. So yeah, that was Maelgwyn's Faithful.
Go ahead.
No, you go, Jesus.
Just reiterating what I said in my text message. This is the soundtrack of an evil ancient temple. Definitely.
Yeah. I want to ask: Is Maelgwyn the name? Is it connected to the character from Friends at the table?
It is. I've got. This is one of 2 songs that I have named after Friends at the Table things. So
I'm a very big fan. So
same. I've been digging into Realis. I don't know if you're all caught
me
up.
too. I am.
So for those of you who aren't aware, Friends at the Table is a podcast where they do radio drama through tabletop role-playing games. If you've heard the term actual play, it's one of those. This is named after sort of a villainous cult, I guess I would say, like a minor villainous faction in one of the seasons that is trying to bring about some apocalyptic forces. And like I said at the start, this started with me wanting to make the song entirely from samples from my Casio keyboard.
It's really cool.
And it's not even one of the cool Casio keyboards where you have like a little bit of control over envelopes or anything. Like it is purely a preset machine of PCM samples. There is some built-in reverb on all of them that you cannot touch. And I went through starting from the percussion banks and kind of working backwards. And as I was creating the like drum kits and things, like let me go into, like if we take this one here, this is the full what Casio called the rock drum.
That's pretty glorious.
All the toms. And things like that.
And you took time to sample all of these out, like
manually, because there's also no MIDI or any sort of control, so it was all manual. Like I think I know I mentioned at one point wanting to sample these, and I think Ineffable you linked me some tool that would have helped me do it, and I just didn't download it. I think if I want to grab every sound bank, I will go back and look at it. But I just did this manually. And as I was doing it, I was just placing them all in a pattern just so that I would have the instruments. And then I started getting not this exact pattern, but I noticed that just having a bunch of the instruments in order made a kind of neat pattern. So then I started playing with, all right, well, which slice from which kit, blah, 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 until I finally hit upon the patterns that are in the song now. And I've got off to, so this row or column 1 has all of the busiest drums, yeah. Column 2 has some extra drums that are running almost like a modified version of like a standard drum and bass kick snare pattern, the like boom ka boom, that kind of thing. I think the biggest surprise for me was being able to get this bass sound, because all of the Casio sounds are not very bassy. But I took
Was
this.
that just pitching it down?
It was, yes, it was pitching it down, and high resonance, but also this is a brass sample. I think the last thing that I really wanted to highlight was in the sort of, well, okay, there are a few things I think I want to highlight. This and the blink out at the end. I am abusing remix a lot to like just to get that kind of chaotic everything is crashing down kind of vibe.
Hey, that's one of those things that.
Okay, I've.
Yo.
All right, starting recording again. Sorry. I'm not sure exactly where I cut off.
You were you're talking about track 3 or 4, was it?
Yeah. Oh, track.
The one that had the RMX.
Yeah, you showed us all your remix uses.
Yeah, and this one, not a whole lot of thought to it. Mostly randomizing the numbers. That's not changing. Okay. For some reason, it wasn't showing up on my sheet. Okay.
The screen still isn't being shared. At least for me, I don't see your screen being shared.
Okay.
Is it coming through for anyone else?
I see a freeze frame of it. That's it.
Let me... I need to reshare.
Alrighty.
There we go.
Okay.
Yep.
Haha.
All right.
All right. And I think the last thing that I wanted to bring up was this guy here. Is a very pitched down take on a built-in sound effect called Cosmic Dance. But I didn't just play a single note on its own. I played a couple at a time so that it wouldn't be too repetitive. So yeah, a little
really cool.
A little harsh and grating at normal pitch, but hopefully a little more menacing at a lower pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I think that's about what I wanted to say on this one. Does anyone have any questions about it?
It's cool. Really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, while you're offline, I I just mentioned, I really like that kind of skittering rhythm pattern that you have in Channel 1 from the get-go. It's just really, it sounds really smart and evocative and rhythmic. It kind of reminds me of a more contemplative kind of electro, but for just rhythm. And like just hints of tonality, and I don't know, it just sets the stage really well.
Thank you. That's really kind of you.
I was impressed when people are able to pull off those kind of atmospherics without them seeming kind of repetitive or just kind of as a gimmick, but they're part of the texture. Like that's just, to me, that's like a really great arrangement when they just kind of like become part of the atmosphere.
Thank you. The pattern stays pretty similar throughout, but I did try to like add little variations to make sure it didn't get too repetitive, like you say.
Like I don't know, like I feel like sampling to a lot of folks means like specific things, but being able to take one of those like really abrasive high-pitched things and then just start like progressively pitching it down and getting that really cool effect, like that to me is like what sampling, what makes sampling so fun, just making like a custom sound out of just anything.
There are some there have been multiple people across the jams who have used samples in ways that make me think I am a child when it comes to sampling.
I feel that describes my feeling about music making in general. When I see stuff that other folks make, I was like, yeah, I'm not sure I can use the label musician for myself.
When I see anyone do something like even remotely generative, it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, generative scares me, but one day. We've run for an hour 15. Oh yeah, we still have ineffable. Are you good to have us run the song? Run your song?
Yeah, I could ask. So this is part of the Dungeon Synth jam, like Jam 20, and it was accompanied by a map. And if it's possible for you to put the M8 display and the map side by side, you'll see why when you start seeing how the map is labeled.
Well, let's see what I can do. If I had prepared more, I would have a nicer way to do this, but I didn't. And also, I am not... Yeah. So, oh, come on.
If you hit
Windows,
holding the Windows key, if you're holding the Windows key, press the right arrow button. That'll like fix it. There we go. Now do the same thing. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Go back to the map and just kind of like control scroll up. Try to see if you can zoom in a little bit. Just enough to see what those numbers are on the side. Can you see those big numbers like on the left-hand side? Yeah, the double O and the 05 and the 0. Those will correspond to the song rows when we go through them, which is why I'd like to have it up at the same time. And feel free to scroll down when like it gets to that part in the song.
Okay.
Yeah. Just as a heads up to Sleepside, when we the recording that's happening of this is only going to capture the stuff on the left hand part of the screen. It's not going to capture the stuff on the right. But I mean that's fine. It's because the OBS is only recording the window capture. It's not recording the whole screen capture. But yeah, just a heads up.
I'm throwing a link into chat. I don't know if we can add that later. It's a place where people can publicly see the map, even if they don't have the bundle with them.
Oh, cool, yeah.
An earlier version of the song, by earlier I mean like 24 hours earlier, was used for my weekly beat submission, and it's actually quite different toward the end. But the map is the same, and if someone wants to like look along with that, especially if they're looking at the screen, that link weeklybeats.com/ineffeff/music/dungeon is where you'd go to see that. I'll step back now.
Behind the scenes. All right. So this is One Page Dungeon One Page Dungeon Synth by Ineffable-twaddle.
Yeah, that ruled. That kicked so much ass too.
Really cool.
Ineffable, I have a question. In your like mental narrative, do our heroes succeed in their mission at the end of this crazy battle?
Yeah, actually thought of so. I should back up for a moment. The reason why the map is made the way it is, those numbers corresponding to islands that are in the song. The idea is that you would just remove the colored kind of rows that have jumps in them. You just shift them down and let those islands while they are in those stages, and then queue up the next island when they moved to the next point. Some of them have transitions, and you just use like the last say like row or something to queue that up. But I had thought of in case they die or something, actually having an additional island for like kind of like the death song, like you know, like
That's so
have,
cool.
but I
didn't
I didn't have time. Yeah, I ran out of time doing it, and I guess the reason why is probably going to come up as I walk through this. I hope you don't mind if I do a bit of a post-mortem on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's two things going on when this jam came up. One was that I spent most of 2024 after like from quarter two onward, starting to build up a library of CC0 or public domain only sounds, and I'm trying to get them into a form right now that I can release as a library of stuff that are usable on the M8, but also just like a kind of like best of free sound, best of the Library of Congress, best of archive.org, that kind of thing.
Oh,
So
that'd be awesome.
all the samples in this are, in fact, pretty much all the samples in everything I did from then on in Weekly Beats was testing various samples in that library and checking whether like the categorization or the mix worked out, because if you've worked with a lot of
Sorry,
samples that you've recorded yourself.
Sorry, and ineffable. I gotta pause you for a second. I think someone's got some kind of static going on there. Okay, cool. Oh, I think Elad, I think it might be on your end.
Yeah, he just muted himself. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. So anyway, there are a bunch of samples in here. The bundle makes it look like there are a lot more samples than they are, unlike the last firmware update that just came out for the M8 that kind of allowed you to bundle one sample if it's used more than once. Back then, it would make multiple copies for each instrument that used it. So you'll see a lot of that with like the timpanis and whatnot. But this song ends up having a number of instruments which are effectively just articulation differences with each other, because like this is one of those odd songs on the M8 where you're actually kind of trying to orchestrate as opposed to just mix and whatnot. So a lot of the time, instead of spending a whole lot of like FX slots or a lot of kind of contortions inside of tables and whatnot to get different sounds, I would be flipping between kind of sets of the same instrument. So in the first, starting with I think the second or third floor, there are a bunch of instruments in like the 12 through 17 range, which are all just kind of clocked noise, and they have different properties. Some of them are different in stereo. Some of them have like just different bass settings. So when you start adjusting them and whatnot, you end up having, you end up kind of like starting with a different timbre or something like that. So you don't have to work really hard to set that up through the FX, because what ends up happening in the phrases is that you start using a lot of reps and stuff like that to really get that kind of expressive orchestral thing going. Clocked noise in particular for those leads is an interesting thing to me, because a lot of macro synths instruments are really deep, and I don't tend to understand them until I like really dig into them, and I may still not actually understand them, but like they're just really capable things. Clock noise is really interesting because it has a lot of expressive kind of string-like timbre qualities to it that you can end up getting out of it. However, it's clocked noise. It's not tonal. So like when you're you're basically messing with the parameters in order to hit certain notes. And on top of that, when I ended up rendering, I found that like it seems like it's not always deterministic, like what it actually does. Like sometimes it flips up an octave or like a weird interval. It's generally the same interval, but I don't know what goes into it. So you kind of take a bit of a risk when you're using it. But anyway, I would have like pairs of that and pairs of timpanis and stuff when they ended up coming in later on to basically switch around very quickly and be able to kind of like make sure that I had the right articulations when I wanted them based on instrument. And then from that point onward, the real problem would be either making sure they all shared a table or just make sure the settings kind of like that were not supposed to change between them, like ended up getting propagated. That's always a risk when you start like copying pasting instruments, but you have 128 on the M8, so like it really gets you it really solves a lot of problems if you start using them this way, I think. But I guess for the dungeon map, like the over at the beginning, the kind of breath sounds is like a macro synth, granular synth that's just kind of like filtered a little bit, so it kind of has that kind of atmospheric kind of like stuff's probably alive in here type feeling. As it keeps going down, it starts making a lot the kind of after that, like I think it's instrument. I think it's on like I think it's on the second track or something like that. But I think it's instrument. Yeah, I think it's first track is instrument 14. I think. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with that. And there's a lot of pitch bendy type or PSL type stuff, like with really long times. And the trick for most of the composition, besides just making sure that the harmonies work together and it has like the right kind of feel that you want, is just sitting there and trying to get them to quote unquote perform with the right kind of intensity and like and get in there sometimes to change the PSL value midway to make sure that it curves in just the way that you want it to perform. There's a lot of PVB and that kind of thing. By the time it gets to the end, like I really like the way one-page dungeons, when they first came out in I think it's the late 2000s when they really started hitting the internet with the one-page dungeon format. But I really liked how some of the early ones didn't have a lot of context, where basically these were one-page things that you could drop into your own campaigns and adjust to taste. So the way I handled it here was I just had like one kind of sentence per floor on the different map that was just evocative enough that you could do something with it and make some kind of sense with the map. It was noted on Weekly Beats that it would be really hard to string a narrative between all of them. I had a kind of basic one in mind, but the thing I wanted to lead up to was the boss fight at the end. So the boss fight at the end has its lead up really starts. You start noticing that like the oh shit moment is somewhere around row 1C, but it actually starts in 1B at the very end. There's a bass. There's a bass in, I think that's the second channel. It should be like, I think it's like 2D. And at the end of it, there's one that just you see that like swing down, that just keeps going, and then if you start going down below it, there's just silence, and then so that bass starts pitching back up when it starts kicking off, Meanwhile, there's a bunch of strings over in those middle tracks. I think like 3D, 3C, eventually 3F. They're all just doing various dissonant harmonies and kicking in at the right time, kind of like adding to the ambience of. I think of it as the oh shit moment, but basically all those things together is what makes that kind of cinematic, that kind of that you get in movie trailers and stuff like that, and then the strings pitching up together were really what I was going for. And by the time I got to the actual boss fight, I just wanted it to sound like all sorts of shit was kicking off. So pretty much it's the most dynamic song I'm likely to make on the M8 because the difference in volume from the beginning to the end is extreme. And in fact, it's really hard to get across if you're trying to mix it for streams or something like that, because like it's either too quiet to pick up some of the details, or at the end it's just stuff starts blowing out. So I don't know anything about how you end up mastering for classical music or something like that, or whatever this is. But my big problem when it came to the jam is when I mastered it, I limited and compressed the final boss fight, which actually cut out most of that bass that drops. So like it's actually really limited compared to what you'll hear if you end up running it off the M8 bundle. So anyway, the basic idea that I had is at the end, there's a boss fight, it's a mechanism, whatever that means. And then there's a bunch of pillars and people are running around, and hopefully there's a beam weapon because mechanisms would have beam weapons and those are cool. And that you just have all these kind of brassy saw wave type things going off in the background, or reusing some of those the clock noise. The clock noise is really cool. It feels more alive. It's just really difficult to control. It's difficult to tune. Like there's not a lot of correlation between how many steps and like timbre and color that you change and what you actually get. You just have to kind of try it out. And if you're doing it with reps, which is what these guys are doing because they're trying to do like bendy strings most of the time, it's just a lot of kind of iteration. And that's where most of the time went. So when I got to the end and I was thinking, oh, it'd be really cool to have like a death song if it doesn't work out. You know, that's when you look at the clock and you're like, I have 15 minutes to render and post. So it kind of is what it is. By the time, the difference between Weekly Beats and the jam, though, is that I really wanted more out of the boss fight. It's very repetitive. It just basically repeats the same phrase over and over again, and doesn't do anything in the Weekly Beats one because it just, you know, you gotta submit by the deadline. So the next morning, I ended up adding things like. The brass ended up actually having a melody of its own. It's sometimes hard to make out because it's in the mid-range, but the things like the piano in the middle to try to break up kind of still make it sound kind of like it's intense, but you don't want it to be crashing all the time. The only thing that I wish I had done that I still didn't have time to, because I think the jam deadline was 1 or 2 days after Weekly Beats, was that it sounds, I kind of almost don't want to say this because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. But the percussion is a bunch of timpani and crash cymbals at the end. And those crash cymbals just kind of just keep smacking on different beat and offbeat and beat and offbeat. And after a while, it sounds like a polka to me, which was not intended. That would be the one thing that I changed, I guess. But that in a nutshell was the jam.
So one that was incredibly thorough and incredibly, I am gonna look back over this video and pull out more details and take notes on this. But I do want to briefly mention that a lot of grindcore beats are basically polka beats. So, you know, there's some shared DNA in harsh music and polka.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is really cool.
I'll say that for it. I just don't want it to turn into like a dance in the dungeon type deal, right? At the end where you and the boss are just kind of like having a dance off. Actually, that sounds cool. Potentially.
Oh, I see. So you and jegasus need to put your songs together.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah, we did have a jam that was I think the title jam was Necro Dancer. Wasn't it? Wasn't there? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I remember that one because that was the theme that I suggested.
Oh, hell yeah, nice.
Well, this is perhaps the time to reveal that the underwater city that I suggested as the next theme is the idea came to me because in my own actual play we have an underwater city and it's just being built. I need a theme for it.
Okay.
So I said,
you're gonna have like several themes to choose from now.
And, I'll have my own, and I'll have inspiration for the rest of the stuff because
Very smart crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
There we go. Collaborative world building.
Unwittingly collaborative.
That sounds like it could. So go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a really clever way of like getting a lot of different takes on background music, but it does strike me as a lot more ethical than like having a music contest and telling the people they'll get exposure for it.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to use my own theme for that one.
No, we're all directly accusing you of doing untoward things, and you will be hearing from our attorneys.
Good.
Also, you're a bad person and should feel bad.
Oh, I feel bad all the time.
Ah, dang it.
That just comes with the territory of being around and paying attention.
Yep.
Yeah, but if you look at it from the other side, that is exactly the kind of move a necro dancer would pull, wouldn't it?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
I will say the getting a bunch of people to do work for a contest and then picking from it also sounds like a thing a villain could do in an RPG arc.
There are several TTRPGs at the moment about bands. So I'm checking a few of them. So
I'd be very interested to hear about that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, for this arc, we are eschewing physical combat, and I'm giving you new stats for intellectual property law, knowledge, and proficiency.
Yep.
And I'm the bassist.
The bassist.
Sorry, man.
All right, well then I think that was one-page Dungeon Synth by Ineffable-twaddle, which anyone who's watching the stream can see also has a Tumblr where you can find this map, presumably.
Bravo.
All right. Well, we've gone through all of the initial songs that were.
I don't think we listened to Metrograde Beats and Song.
Oh,
yet.
You're right. I think Metro didn't say whether or not he'd be joining, but I don't see him on, so
Yes.
yeah. I will load up the track itself, but most or like a big chunk of the song is done with a combination of M8 and some other tools. So I'm actually going to pull up his YouTube performance. Can you all see this?
Yes, it is coming through.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. This is Paperjamz.
Wow.
By Retrograde Beats. And again, this is another one from Jam 29, Paperwork.
What's happening? I'm gonna need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow. That would be great. Okay? Okay.
I could set the building on fire.
All right. And that was Paperjamz by Retrograde Beats.
I think the best thing I can use to describe this is controlled wobbles. That feels like it describes a lot of Metro's music. It's very cool how like wiggly and wobbly it feels, but like still very very intentional. It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is just really cool. I love his work with the samples, with the spoken word. Amazing.
And the disc scratching thing also is super cool too.
100%. Very. I I would like to be able to scratch one day. I think the something about the wobble of his bass in this one, like I subdivide a lot in my head, and it makes me think of almost like a smoothed out version of like a triplet gallop, like duckadum, 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 duckadum. That might just be me.
Yeah, I really like the bounce of this. But I have good news, Sleepside. If you really want to get into scratching, the M8 is really good for that. And the secret is the PVX command. If you start out with the PVX command and start like repping it slowly to how intense it is, or upping the speed real quick in the X digit, you can get some really cool scratching effects.
Nice.
I'm not trying to talk you out of like spending $800 on a teenage engineering crash platter, but
No, I see the anti-teenage engineering bias here. I do, and it won't be forgiven.
my only bias is I don't have that much money. It looks cool as hell.
No, I'm good. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, like it's too bad MRDRCAT isn't here because that was a fantastic track, and I just love the amount of bounce. It's like every day is Jet Set Radio Day with him, and there is no higher praise for me.
Just trying to bounce through some of these and see if I can. We can get anything out of. That's interesting. More pitch noise. Yeah. Metro, if you're watching the archives and are ever free for another one of these streams, we'd love to have you talk about any of your songs and how you approach groove.
Yeah, one of the vocal stutters that one of the characters does, the that I don't know, it gives it such a cool flavor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I've called it prematurely before, but now I think we've gone through all of the main first songs that were requested. Let's see, just a 30. Atalhlla, maybe just a 30-second sketch on the theme. Oh, okay, that's a different conversation.
Yeah,
different
just
conversation.
responding to texts. Yeah.
Okay. But we're at the 2-hour mark. So I don't want to stay on for too much longer. There is at least one other thing that I want to do. So for those of you who don't know, this was a stream for the Community Jam. This is an unofficial, I guess, ongoing series that is hosted by me, Jegasus, and MRDRCAT. And once every 3 weeks, we get together with a theme and an optional challenge, and everyone writes a song within a 2-week period. And then we take a week off. We give each other feedback. We put in ideas for themes and challenge, and then we vote on them for the next jam that comes after that. And for the people who want to do it, we also have a Bandcamp that you can submit your songs to be included on the compilation to. And any money that is donated to that, and everything is like pay what you want, including nothing, but any money that is sent to that is donated directly to the Playing for Change Foundation, which is an international charity for music education. You think it's pretty cool?
And it's one of those things where the money doesn't even go to us at all. We've set things up so that like the MA Community Jam, whatever money goes towards it is paid to a Venmo account, and that Venmo account is the Venmo account of the Playing for Change account already. So just for the sake of transparency there too.
Yeah. It's their PayPal address directly.
Yes, their PayPal. Sorry, not their Venmo. PayPal.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
But speaking of MRDRCAT, so we've done one of these streams previously, and it was for the premiere of the Dungeon Synth compilation, for the Dungeon Synth jam, and we played every song on that one. And back then, I also asked, hey, if we've got some extra time, are there any songs that people want to have played? And we didn't get to do any of those. I do want to play at least one of those for one of the co-hosts who couldn't make it this time because of other engagements. This is MRDRCAT's song, and this requires a bit of backstory. So we had a jam called Radio Frequencies, and the theme of that was to use only sounds, or the challenge for that one was to use only sounds from the radio or FM synth. And we actually got a longtime podcaster from MRDRCAT, like around MRDRCAT's hometown, to do little radio announcement interstitials. And MRDRCAT wrote a little 8-bar theme that was meant to be like the call sign of the fake radio station that we set up for it. And then MRDRCAT decided that they wanted to expand that into a full song, which I think was done for a weekly beat. And that's this song.
I think you're right. Yeah. And before you start Sleepside, I think there's one of our users here in the chat. I think it's Arcon303. Would it be all right? Can you mute the microphone on your end? We were hearing something. Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much.
All right, so I think so this is called Adventure News at 6.
That's quite the way to close us out. It's quite the energy. That's awesome.
Yes, that was Adventure News at 6 by MRDRCAT. You can hear an 8-bar version again on the Radio Frequencies Jam or on MRDRCAT's Weekly Beats. I think it's number 11, week 11. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right there.
Oh, so it does.
No, yeah. Agreed. Good way to close out the stream.
Yeah, it feels like the theme song for a newscast show that exists in the world of The Running Man, of like these dystopic future scenarios where like people die on TV for entertainment, and we're just watching the TV show from that universe.
Yeah.
God. Incredible. Thank you, everyone, for joining the stream. I hope you all had a good time. Sorry if I'm a bit weird. That's
great.
That's just kind of how I am, and also I'm sick. But
you're great, and this was great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you did great.
Thank you for hosting. This has been awesome, and it's been really fun hearing all the details from everyone's songs and song making approaches and stuff like that. Is really, really cool.
Thank you so much, everyone, for talking about your songs, and thank you, jegasus, for coordinating and working through my technical issues and chat and everything.
Nothing to thank, man. This is the fun stuff. This is absolutely the fun stuff.
All right. Well, then I am going to stop the recording.